Teddy Mitchell, a gambling conviction.
Do you feel like your sentence was fair?
A son in prison.
I feel like it's because of me he's in there.
A wife brutally murdered.
I'm always going to be a suspect. A husband's always a suspect.
Now, in a News 9 exclusive, he breaks his silence.
I've not talked to anybody in 3.5 years. There's a lot of things people don't know.
Were you involved in Julie's murder?
Tonight at 10 on Oklahoma's own News 9 in HD.
The murder of an Oklahoma City bookie's wife got everyone's attention in November 2010, but 3 years later remains unsolved.
Now the man who made his living running illicit poker games is showing all of his cards in hopes of changing that. Tonight, Teddy Mitchell opens up about the tragedy, his gambling conviction, and his looming prison sentence in a candid interview with our Lisa Monahan, only on 9.
Teddy Mitchell played the odds all his life. Some bets paid off, but his biggest gamble, running an illegal business, did not. As he prepares to spend the next 27 months in prison, he's making one more bet, that a public appeal will get law enforcement to focus on catching a killer, not a gambler.
There's 100 poker games going on right now. To my knowledge, mine is the only one that got stopped.
Tales of Teddy Mitchell's lavish but law-breaking lifestyle were the subject of whispered conversations for years.
I'm just a normal guy that was good at gambling. Wish I'd have done something else.
The curiosity surrounding the bookmaker's million-dollar earnings in high-stakes poker games was quickly overshadowed in 2010 when Mitchell's wife, Julie, was murdered in their home.
Do you know who killed Julie?
No, I don't. There's nothing more that we all want than to catch whoever did this.
Mitchell is frustrated. He says first he was persecuted by the public and then prosecuted by authorities. And the federal indictment for his illegal gambling operation, in his opinion, only caused more fingers to point to him, a bookie whose wife was found beaten to death.
I'm always going to be a suspect. A husband's always a suspect. I've heard that a million times.
Were you involved in Julie's murder?
No. I love Julie with all my heart. No, I couldn't possibly hurt Julie.
Mitchell claims he cooperated fully with the murder investigation, submitting to police interviews, DNA testing, and polygraphs. Mitchell's attorney, Scott Adams, feels investigators shoved all that to the side when they saw a chance to get Mitchell for gambling.
There was being so much attention on the gambling case and what was going on there that I really felt, and Teddy more than I did for sure, really felt that Julie was getting lost in all this.
So Mitchell says he pleaded guilty to the gambling charges, hoping it would put the focus back on finding his wife's killer.
The FBI was working strictly on the gambling. They weren't working on the murder. And that's unfortunate because of all the help and the money and the manpower they have with the leads that homicide had, and they might be able to find out who did this. Somebody out there is a horrible, horrible person. And the only reason I'm doing this is for Julie.
Mitchell is pained by the rumors suggesting Julie brought on her own death by being involved in the dark side of his business.
I don't believe that my wife goes to seedy bars and collects money from me gambling, when she's never collected any money from me in my entire life for a gambling debt.
He says Julie was a good wife and mother. Her absence has been hard on their daughter, and he worries his coming absence will make it even harder.
For my daughter, I'll do whatever it takes.
And Mitchell says he'll do whatever it takes to make his wife's killer do time as soon as he's done serving his.
What I'd like to do now is get the gambling over with. I'm guilty. I'm going to jail. Well, I don't know what more I can do.
Teddy reveals his concerns about prison tomorrow on News 9 this morning. Lisa Monahan, News 9.
Then also tomorrow at 6, we look at where the murder investigation stands. Is it close to becoming a cold case? Teddy Mitchell and his private investigators talk about their efforts to find the killer.
Oklahoma City bookie Teddy Mitchell will spend the next 2+ years behind bars.
That's right. He was convicted last year and sentenced last month for illegal gambling. And in an exclusive interview with Lisa Monahan, the well-known bookmaker keeps up about his fears.
Teddy Mitchell admits he's a little scared of going to prison, but said he did it for his daughter and his late wife. He feels removing himself from the picture was the only way to put law enforcement's focus back where it should be.
I've got to go to prison, but as far as having to deal with it all the time, It's not that constant worry and looking over your shoulder.
Teddy Mitchell will spend 27 months in a federal prison for money laundering and running an offshore gambling operation.
Do you feel like your sentence was fair?
It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a whole lot better.
What's your attitude going into prison?
All I know is I'm going to go in there and do what I'm told. The thing I'm tired of hearing is it'll go by so quick. Life goes by as quick when you're on the outside.
Mitchell's expectation of prison life developed out of talks with his son Dryden, who's currently serving time for his role in the gambling ring.
What's it like for you thinking about him being there?
I feel like it's because of me he's in there. He told me it's not, that he's grown that, you know, that he made his own decisions, but let's face it, if I was never in gambling and he was never in gambling, he wouldn't be in there.
A federal judge also blamed Mitchell for involving two of his sons in the illegal activities.
If I'd never done this, they wouldn't be there, and I agree with him 100%. It was a mistake. And I regret it for the rest of my life.
But regret, Mitchell says, has led to repentance. He's determined to make things right for his daughter London and to bring justice to whoever killed his wife Julie.
I'll ask you, which one do you think's more important, me playing poker or finding who murdered Julie?
Mitchell says he didn't kill his wife and doesn't know who did, but he believes law enforcement could have figured it out by now if they hadn't been so intent on convicting him. Lisa Monahan, News 9.
Wow, compelling stuff. There is more on News9.com. Now, the investigation into Julie Mitchell's murder is the focus of Lisa's story. What's the status of the investigation, and are there any suspects? Mitchell's attorney and a private investigator address those issues tonight at 6 here on News 9.
Now to this, the brutal murder of a bookie's wife remains a mystery more than 3 years later. Oklahoma City police will only tell us the investigation is ongoing.
Still some question if the case has gone cold, including her husband, who has been considered a suspect in the killing. News 9's Lisa Monahan has the exclusive tonight. Lisa?
Well, Teddy Mitchell has an alibi. He was out of town when his wife was murdered in their home in 2010. And now, for the first time since that tragic day, we're getting an exclusive look inside that home turned crime scene.
Somebody out there is a horrible, horrible person.
The killer walked down this dark hallway into the couple's bedroom and apparently cornered Julie Mitchell in the closet. Her brutally beaten body was found here after the attack. An autopsy report indicates Mitchell tried to fight off her killer. She ultimately died from head trauma.
Until they find out who murdered Julie, I will never know, did this have something to do with gambling?
Teddy Mitchell insists he had nothing to do with his wife's death, but that didn't stop investigators from pointing to him.
I don't know how I can be a suspect anymore. They've watched everything I've done.
Mitchell says whoever did it took $30,000 from a safe in the closet where his wife's body was found, but missed thousands more in this secret safe. A private investigator hired by Mitchell says gamblers frequented the house and knew Mitchell kept cash on hand.
It's possible that somebody in that world, the motive was the money, somebody killed for money.
Mitchell's attorney, Scott Adams, says their own investigation points to several suspects. He says they turned over evidence implicating at least one gambler who owed Mitchell money.
Mike Thomas, for one. I mean, he's a prime suspect. He was clearly at the Mitchell residence on the evening of Julie's murder.
Thomas's checkbook was found at the murder scene. Oklahoma City police detectives searched Thomas's home and office. No arrests were made, leaving the murder as much a mystery today as it was on November 2nd, 2010.
I go to sleep at night praying every night for someone to come forward and solve Julie's murder.
Now, Mitchell's family and friends are offering a $50,000 reward in the case. We've linked a tip line for the investigation to News9.com. In the newsroom, Lisa Monahan, News 9.
Mike Thomas's attorney, Ed Blau, declined comment on if his client is a suspect, saying he did not want to jeopardize an ongoing investigation.